Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's video I'm here to give you 5 things which I believe we learned from the game against Sheffield United. These types of videos get harder and harder each week because we keep on losing or keep not winning. And yeah, I've tried to dissect this game as much as possible. It's not good viewing whatsoever, but I'm here to give you 5 things which I believe we've learned. Before I start, I just want to say, and I'll repeat this again because I have seen a few comments, I do want Edwards to change this around. In theory, I would not want to go through this whole new manager process because that takes time. So ideally, I would like the current manager to fix things and improve things, and yeah, and let us climb up that championship table. But right now, with a tough run of fixtures coming up, I just don't see this happening. And I feel like if you're gonna make a change, you can make a change just before, well, in this international break. But as we've got our derby game coming up, I don't see that happening. So realistically, how long is Edwards gonna get? I honestly don't know. For me, if he doesn't win the next 2 home games, that surely has to do it. Just the way I'm looking at it. But who knows what the board and how they're thinking. I can imagine they already have an idea on who their replacement is going to be, because in a interview when we appointed Edwards as manager, Gary Sweet said they used data analytics to find out who their next manager should be. I'm assuming they've done that again because they were always prepared and ready for Nathan if he was going to go, which he ended up doing. So I can imagine I would hope they would have done the same for Edwards as well. So look, I hope they're smart in what they've been doing, and realistically they do know a replacement if we were to sack Edwards. But it's not looking good at the moment. But let's go on about this game against Sheffield United and dissect it a little bit. The first thing I believe we've learned from the game is players out of position is just not going to work, is it? Especially against the best sides in the division. Playing a inexperienced right back at left back in Walters. He was at fault for one of the goals. Miscommunication between him and McGuinness. They're not talking to each other. In fact, both goals go down his side. I don't blame him whatsoever. I think he's still young, he's still learning. What doesn't help is when you're learning and you're developing, that you're at a team that's losing every week or performing really poorly, because you won't learn that much. Well, you learn actually quite a few things, but you know, you're not going to be performing as well as you should do, perhaps. But he has looked good in spells. But yeah, having him play as a left back is just not the right thing to do. I think the decision behind it was Alfie's more attacking, so we don't want to take away Alfie's attacking abilities because of Sheffield United playing a really attacking winger. And that attacking winger is someone who Luton were interested in. I can't remember how to say his name, but he's the current Crystal Palace player who's on loan at Sheffield United. We were interested in him after he had a very good spell at Charlton. He did extremely well there. We've been linked with him since, but apparently Sheffield United played like over the odds for the loan deal. Financially, I just don't think we should be spending that amount of money on a player who's not going to be our permanent transfer. That's just the way I see it. Whether you don't like the board for doing that, it's up to you. But for me, you spend your money wisely. You spend it on the right things. Spending it on a loan player who's not going to be your player at the end of the year, it's not really a wise decision. But Walters wasn't the only player that was playing out of position. Clark was kind of like playing as a false 9 striker, which was absolutely baffling. Alfie just, yeah, playing on the right, didn't look his normal self either. So yeah, that playing players out of position just isn't going to work, is it? The second thing which I believe we learnt was the midfielders. You know, I understand the idea on what Edwards was trying to say. He wanted us to be a little bit more compact in the midfield, which makes it really hard for Sheffield United to break us down. But having Kraus and also Nakamba as the 2-man midfield, it takes away any ability to cut teams through the middle, because I don't think both players have the ability to be creative and yeah, just split teams down in the middle. It forces us to play out wide, which I think Sheffield United kind of wanted us to do, and they felt comfortable that they could deal with us quite easily. But yeah, you need another player in that midfield who's a little bit more attacking. Of course, Baptista's just come back from injury, so that kind of explains why he didn't start. Maybe against Watford he will start with either Nakamba or Kraus beside him, or a 3-man midfield, because we're going to change formation again. I don't know. We keep chopping and changing formations. We need to kind of like stick with a formation and now just and keep it. I think what needs to change is our overall play now. I think it doesn't matter how many times we chop and change the formations, it's just we're still getting the same answers. Maybe it's the actual style, maybe what we're trying to do, it's just simply not working and we need to completely change it. But yeah, if the compact in the midfield just didn't really work, and I also felt like Krausen and Campbell, they were running around like headless chicken, couldn't get really on the ball, weren't really winning the second balls, weren't really getting tackles in, and it felt like at times, yet again I'm saying this, we had no midfield. Number 3, being ineffective down the flanks. The only player that was actually effective at certain points in the game was Moses. Moses for me was the only player that was ready to pick up the ball and actually run at the Sheffield United players. He actually caused them a few problems as well, and if you had players that were kind of on the same wavelength and were able to help him out a little bit, we could have created more problems. But you've got to think, Moses is 33, 34 and he's putting in more effort than some of these players that are like, you know, 10 years younger than him. It's quite sad really, but you can definitely see Moses has played at the highest level. You can see how his quality is on the pitch, and it's really exciting. And imagine what could happen when we're winning games of football. What else he could do? He can probably score loads more goals. You know, he's always looking to shoot. He's always looking to try and put a cross into the box. I really like him, and I think he's going to be a really good signing for us. But right now, we're not playing to his strengths, and we're not playing well as a team. But he was the only one in terms of out wide that actually did something really well. What I also noticed was when we did get the ball to Moses, the fullback Walters wasn't really helping him out. We weren't really helping our wide players out. We weren't trying to do overlaps, we weren't trying to do underlaps, and it was just really frustrating to watch. And then the 4th thing I'm going to talk about is, let me have a look at my notes. As you can tell, I haven't really rehearsed this video properly. Reese Burke, that's what I wanted to talk about. Reese Burke, for me, doing what we were trying to do by making him like the furthest player forward just to try and win flick-ons was quite confusing and really strange. Also, I understand him playing right back, but for me he's a centre half. He really is. I just want to see, I don't know about you guys, I just want to see a proper flat back 4 with either Reese Burke or actually Reese Burke and Tiedemann Menji as the centre back partnership. They could be the two. We have Alfie on the left, Walters on the right. That's your flat back 4. And then what happens in front of them is up to Edwards to decide. But I want to see that flat back 4. McGuinness has struggled massively, and I do believe that. For me, I think the system makes him look a lot worse than what we're seeing. But yeah, he hasn't started his Luton career. You know, it's not been a great start, basically, is what I'm trying to say. He wins a lot of balls in the air, but you can't just do that. You've got to do a little bit more than that. And also talking about Reese Burke, he came out after the game and said we need to go back to do the basics. We should have already been doing the basics already, really. Realistically, we should be making it difficult for the opposition team to come at us. We need to be, you know, we need to be like a really hard battling team like we used to be. When you look at that team that played against Sunderland in the second leg of the playoffs, it's that team compared to now. There's massive differences, and the team which we've got now, some of those players played in that game, so it's kind of strange that we've kind of lost that fight and that passion and that desire to win stuff. It really is strange, and it looks like the whole fight out of Luton's been sucked out of us. It really has done. But what I saw against Sheffield United, it is alarming. I just really don't know what's going to happen going forward. We need to do something right. I don't know what. I think a lot of people think it's just changed the manager. It's a real concern. You know, having Elijah playing up top again on his own, isolated. Why can't we have big man, little man? And what I mean by that is Elijah or Brown alongside Taylor in a 2. Taylor, for me, won't work in substitute appearances. That's the 5th thing we've learned. He's not going to be this player we want him to be, Taylor, if he's just going to get 15-20 minute sub appearances. It's not going to work. He's got to start from the beginning, and he's also got to start with a striker, not on his own, because it won't work. You know, you look at all his goals he scored for Colchester and Lincoln, he was either with someone up top, and they played to Taylor's strengths because they knew he could get goals. So that's the way I see it. Things need to improve. When are they going to improve? I don't know. But yeah, that is the end of the video. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Comment below what you learnt from the game against Sheffield United. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. I don't know when that's going to be, but yeah, I'll see you guys soon.